Hello, Internet. Hello, Internet. I am weirdly live today. Um, what? 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 So I have decided to go live today because it was Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and those are the 3 holidays on my calendar for this week. But if you're celebrating anything else, happy that too. But because of Christmas, I did not record ahead of time, and I thought it would be an interesting little experiment for the end of the year to talk about 2018 live. So this is like my unfiltered thoughts. I have like notes of like what I'm gonna say, but like I didn't type out. So I thought I'd talk about my big moments and then some highs and lows from the year as far as entertainment, work, and just regular old stuff. So yeah, here we go. So I wanted to start today by talking a bit about basically big moments in the year. It was kind of a sucky year for me, not for really any reasons other than the fact that it was really stressful, and I'm really ready to get back into some sort of routine. But clearly I'm not. I'm in another new place today. I'm actually home for the holidays. This is my dad's Audi fidget spinner. I'm playing with it. Um, yeah, so it was a really stressful year. I'm really ready to get back into routine, but I'm currently home for the holidays, so I'm definitely not in a routine right now. But here are some of the biggest moments from the year, just mostly for me. I'm not going to talk about like the news or anything because that is not my forte. But this year, I actually started a job working for a library, which I loved, but I could only stay there for a couple of months, which was really unfortunate. But I read way more over the summer while I was working there than I think I've ever did in the last few years while I've been studying English. So it was really, really good for me to be reading again, and I was really excited about that. That was a really fun job, and I miss it so much. I moved in with my nan for the summer. I spent several weeks there on my own because she was sick, and I spent a lot of time. So I spent a lot of time writing, and I got into a nice little routine of my own, which I haven't been able to replicate since. But oh well, it was fun while it lasted. It's pretty unfortunate, but it's fine. I wrote and finished my master's thesis. I graduated with my master's actually a week ago today, so that was a pretty big moment. So I have 2 degrees. What? I don't understand. I moved to Plymouth. I'm starting my PhD. That's super cool. Super stressful, but that's fine. I made the decision this year to go zero waste. It is going not great. But that's mostly because I've been really sick. I've been moving around a lot, and I've been living with people who don't do that stuff. So it's a little bit difficult to keep that sort of thing going when you're not really able to share that with everybody you're living with. So right now it's been a couple of little things, which I will talk about in a minute. I also joined a job that really, it destroyed my anxiety, and it led me to really reevaluate my life and what makes me happy. And I described it as a kind of identity crisis. So I felt like a lot of things that I had weren't mine anymore, and that really sucked. So I have started in the last couple of weeks to really reevaluate what I love and what makes me happy, and I'm excited about that. I also hit a couple of really fun writing milestones. They're not really fun, but I hit them. I got really deep into character development stuff this year, which I'd been putting off for a while. So yay. I watched a shitload of movies and actually started studying screenwriting, which was weird. I got into cinema this year in a way I haven't for a really long time. I talked about movies a lot, but you know, it's sort of one of those things where I never realized how much I loved it until this year. Like, I really love it. It's amazing. And I was able to cut 50,000 words from my manuscript, which is just like insane. And I will talk about how I did that in a future video, but like, holy shit, I looked at like the task I had in front of me. I think I talked about it in my very first video that I had to do this. And I actually did it over the course of November. I don't know how, but that's what I did. I did that. So I'm going to talk a bit about some things that I really liked this year and some things I really didn't like. So let's start with movies. So my favorite movies of the year were probably Infinity War because I'm a little biased and I enjoyed the movie. I watched Black Klansman on the plane home, which was really, really funny, and I recommend to everyone. But I do have to warn you, it's hard to watch. Like lots of like racial slurs. They go all out on the racial slurs. Just putting that out there, just like a general warning. Lots of racial slurs, but it's a really good movie, and I recommend. It's funny, weirdly enough, and I recommend it to all the people. I loved Deadpool 2, which is the hardest I think I've lost in the cinema, except for Thor Ragnarok, but I'm not really counting that because it was just so funny. It was the hardest I've laughed in a cinema for a really, really long time. So yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I haven't seen the PG-13 rated one. I've heard that's not as good, but the original R-rated one is really funny. It's hilarious. I really liked it. In general, because those are just the movies. Oh, I watched Into the Spider-Verse. Go see that. It's in cinemas. It's just a really genuinely good time at the movies, and you should all go. Just go. Those were just the movies that came out this year. I watched a couple movies that came out previously before this year, and I want to talk about those too. The Apartment with Shirley MacLaine and Jack Lemmon is amazing, and I highly recommend it. Roman Holiday with Audrey Hepburn was a lot of fun to watch. A couple movies that came out in the last couple of years, Mr. Roosevelt and Frances Ha. Frances Ha was like a really fun, kind of awkward, black and white indie film with starring and written by Greta Gerwig. And it was a really poignant film, and it spoke a lot to me because she's just kind of super awkward, and I am as well. Super awkward. And, you know, it won my heart with Bowie. How else are you going to win my heart? And then Mr. Roosevelt was a movie that I found on Netflix just randomly. It's about a girl going home for her cat's funeral. And for some reason, like that really meant a lot to me. It was very similar to the way that I interact with people. And like, she's really funny and awkward. And I'm not a comedian. I don't even pretend to be funny. But the way that she interacted with other people was very similar to me. So if you haven't seen Mr. Roosevelt, it's on Netflix. It's really like a strange concept, but it was fun. I also saw Paranorman for the first time this year, which made me cry. And The Addams Family. I was shocked at how much I loved it, but I fucking loved it. That was a great movie. But there were also a couple of movies this year that I was not a fan of. Here are my misses. Oh, I got an email. Look at that. Here are my movies misses for 2018. A Star is Born. Let me put that out there. I did really like A Star is Born. It is an objectively well-made, very good film. However, I had massive problems with about the first third of the movie. Like, I just genuinely hated it and just kind of was sitting in the cinema thinking, wow, like, what is everyone talking about? This is actually kind of a terrible movie. And it did get better for the rest of the film. Once you kind of got past where the trailers ended, it was actually a really good film. But the hype it's gotten since, it's just not deserving of the quality of the film that it is. So with all of the hype, just go in it with kind of like an open mind. It's probably not going to be as good as you think it is. I went to see 50 Shades. I'm okay. I'm good. I went to see 50 Shades Freed for Valentine's Day. Wow, that movie's bad. It didn't make any sense. But my friend was getting drunk, and I decided to CinemaSins the movie, and I basically just made a running commentary. So I had a really good time watching it, but wow, that is a bad movie. I haven't seen the other two. I jumped into it with the third one, which is probably not a great idea if you want some sort of form of continuity, but I think I was probably fine. I also watched Ocean's 8, which is not a bad movie. Again, it was just sort of a nothing movie. I had fun while watching it and then like immediately forgot about it, which was really disappointing because the cast was amazing. So yeah. That was the movies of 2018. Again, I watched a couple movies in general this year. I'm about to offend some people, so like, sorry. The movie First Night with Richard Gere and Sean Connery. I gotta say, I hated this movie. Words cannot express how much I hated this movie. I wanted to strangle Lancelot, and it literally changed the way I think about my PhD because I hated Lancelot so much. And now whenever I read like my Arthurian literature stuff, I come across Lancelot, I'm like, I hate you. I hate you. I really do. I hate him so much. I want to punch him in the face. I really do. I watched Ghostbusters for the first time this year, and first time. And I got to the Dickless joke, and I was laughing from there to the end. Really, really funny. But that's only about 45 minutes, and everything leading up to that, I didn't understand what was so good about it. It was kind of a naff film. But from the Dickless joke to the end, I was having a genuinely good time. But up to that point, I just didn't get the hype. I didn't understand it. I was very disappointed because I was looking forward to that one. And then The Nightmare Before Christmas. Again, this is not a bad movie at all. It's a very good movie and the music is incredible. But I didn't have the nostalgia that a lot of people grew up with that movie with. I watched it for the first time this year. And without that nostalgia, you just kind of don't feel the attachment, and you understand like certain aspects of the story that aren't necessarily as good. And I think my opinion of this film was a victim of the hype. Everyone I know is obsessed with this movie. And so I was expecting the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it just sort of wasn't. And I think if I'd just gone in expecting a movie, I would have liked it a lot more than if I'd gone in expecting like the best movie of all time. You know what I'm talking about. You understand. Let's talk about TV. I don't have a lot to say about TV because I didn't watch a lot of it this year. I spent a lot of it on YouTube because YouTube is apparently the love of my life now. I've been watching Screen Junkies almost exclusively because movies, man. But I did watch some TV that I want to talk about. I only have one TV show I didn't like, but I want to talk about the positives first. I found Marvelous Mrs. Maisel very early in the year, and holy shit, guys, that show is so good. They just came out with the second season. I recommend you watch it. Please watch it. Oh my God, it is so good. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, it's everything. I found this weird show last month called Search Party, and it's weird and it's funny, but it's also not at all what you expect. You jump in kind of expecting a comedy, and you end up getting stories about the lengths people will go to protect themselves and protect their friends and protect their own innocence. And it gets real dark, but it's really good. And it's like half-hour episodes. I found it just like kind of on the internet. I don't know how I found it, but I did, and I'm really glad I found it. It was really fun. I started watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend this year, which how did I not see the show before? I don't know. But according to my Spotify, like 70 out of my top 100 listened to songs this year came from the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend soundtrack. So like just putting that out there. I listen to it all the time. I sing it all the time. I quote it all the time. It is one of my favorite shows. I watched it all the way through twice this year, and it was just amazing. It's not for everyone. You either love it, like you're obsessed with it, or it's kind of not your thing. But I am obsessed with it, and it's really, really good. The last show I want to talk about, I watched earlier in the year, and that's The End of the Fucking World. I wasn't sure what to expect and was kind of not into it in the first episode, but you really, really get attached to the characters, and it's only 8 episodes, half an hour long, and it kind of breaks you. So go watch that show. The only show I watched this year that I really wasn't a fan of was Master of None. I also watched Parks and Rec for the first time this year, but I got really put off because I didn't like Master of None and Aziz Ansari. And also the whole sexual assault thing happened right around the same time with Aziz Ansari. So I really wasn't a fan of how the second season ended, and it just really made me mad, and I just couldn't handle it. So that's Master of None. The rest of the show is fine, but the ending just made me so furious that it just like put me off the rest of the show. Books. Some books I really recommend that I read this year. I haven't been able to find this one in the States, but you could probably find it on Amazon. It's called Margot and Me. And I kind of picked it up thinking it was not going to be that great because it was one of those books that was like, oh, so-and-so goes to her grandmother's house and like looks in her attic and finds her old diary and like connects back to her grandmother's past because she's kind of a bitch now sort of thing. And I was like enraptured. I read the whole thing in like 3 days, which while I was writing my thesis was pretty damn good. And yeah, it was a really fun read, and it was actually really poignant. You don't really expect a book like that to be poignant that way, and it was really good. If you can't find it in a bookstore, if you're in the States and you can't find it in a bookstore, I recommend you look it up on Amazon. It was surprisingly good for me. I also read the first Game of Thrones book this year, only the first one. I had way too much to do post reading the first book, and I was not able to basically read another book this year. It took me a really long time. There's just so much to take in, but it's well written. As hard as those books are to read, it's a well-written book. It's a well-written story. And if you like the show, the first book is like line for line, which is actually partially how it took me so long to get into it, because I was like, I've seen this before. I've seen all of this before. But that being said, it was really, really fun to see things that you had seen on screen translated into book form. And if you're really nervous about like, well, I've seen the show, why should I read the books? Or if you're thinking to yourself, well, I've already seen the show, I don't need to read the books. Seeing the show first actually really helps you to read the books, because you can put faces to names. If I read the books first, I don't think it would have been able to understand like 5 words. But since I know what these characters look like now, I'm kind of more able to interact with the story in a way I probably wouldn't have been able to if I had just sort of jumped in straight up. So yeah. I also read One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus this year. This has been on my list for a while, but I finally got the book. I just sort of bought it when I was coming here. I had a Barnes & Noble gift card, and I got it, and I read it really quick, and it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It was just sort of one of those books that had been on my list for a while, and I picked it up and I read it, and it was pretty good. So I think they're making it into a TV show, but I don't know. That's a book I want to put out there. The only book I read this year that I didn't like, and I didn't read that much this year, it was kind of sad, but the only book I read this year that I really didn't like was a book called Skylarks. And I forgot to write down who wrote it. Crap. I'll put it in the comments or something. This was a book that I read because, well, I picked it up and I didn't read the last line of the description, and it sounded like a book about like a girl finding her kindred spirit and becoming friends with someone that she probably wouldn't have become friends with before. The last line of the description made it clear it was a romance, and I hate romances. But I thought, you know what? I've never read a gay romance story before. That's probably something I should do. Like I need to expand my horizons. And the reason really is that I don't like romance. Like there's no other reason for that. I just don't like it. So I finally decided to read, expand my horizons, read this book, and it was not good. She was trying to shoehorn issues into it. She was referencing things like Donald Trump and things that happened to recently. Seems like a cash grab. The characters reacted in ways they really shouldn't. Again, I don't think this is one you'll be able to find in the States unless you look on Amazon, but I did not enjoy it in the slightest. So avoid that book. I'll put the author in the comments or something. One of the last things I want to talk about is music. I don't really have any specifics. I listened to the Greatest Showman soundtrack on repeat for the entire month of January. It started that way because I saw the book for New Year, or saw the film for New Year's. It was fine. Didn't do much for me. The soundtrack is amazing. It's amazing. And if, you probably know this, it's good music, but the film's kind of, it's fine. But the music is great. And it was really helping me out when I was going through this period of anxiety early in the year when I was looking for a job and couldn't find one. And I was listening to it so much that it was like, nearly the end of the month. And I thought, I wonder if I could make it to the end of this month without listening to anything else. So I did. So the entire month of January was just the Greatest Showman soundtrack. You could do worse things with your time, I guess. I also really fell in love with this band called Freedom Fry. It's a French-American duet. Pretty good. Check them out. Kind of low-key rock stuff, but I enjoyed it. They came out with their first studio album last year, and I've been listening to that one. I've also been a huge fan. This is sort of like a generalized stuff because I don't really remember what I listened to much this year. But Spotify in general, I kind of only discovered at the end of last year. And I used it a lot this year. Like I said earlier in the video, I'd had problems with like an identity crisis. So Spotify was able to help me find new music and new artists and kind of try to expand my horizons and figure out what I really like. I also really listened to Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie a lot this year. It was added to my roster as a new anxiety song. If you don't know it, what are you doing with your life? Go listen to this song. It's so good. So good. The music I wasn't a fan of this year, almost anything I've heard on the radio since I've come home. I don't listen to the radio, and I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but like I got home and I started listening to the radio, and I was like, what is this? Partially because the radio was kind of going staticky, but also it wasn't really something that I enjoyed. And I kind of took that as I'm really trying to cultivate my own taste in music, which I'm really proud of this year. As something I'm really trying to cultivate my own tastes and not kind of piggyback off the taste of other people, which I've been doing for a while. I'm not a fan of the music on my phone anymore. I'm fucking bored with it. Even if I put it on last week, like I'm bored with it. I'm bored of seeing the same albums. And that's why I've been really into Spotify. I'm going to try Apple Music next year if I can figure out how to connect my account to my family's, because we're stealing stuff. And so I'm going to figure out how to do that and just sort of expand that and see if I can find more of my niche that I've been looking for a while. Finally, I'm not a fan of covers of Christmas songs, of rock Christmas songs by non-rock singers. And I came up with this because, you know, the song War is Over. It's one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time. I'm like a huge, huge John Lennon fan. And if you watch my videos before, I have like an Imagine poster in my room. Here's another one. See it? Do you see it? Yeah, John Lennon. I'm a big fan. And Celine Dion covered it, I don't remember when, and it was terrible. And this year, my dad showed me a version of it by Josh Groban, and I love Josh Groban. That should be great, but I was not into it. Do you hear the music? My dad's playing music now, and it's coming through the Bluetooth speakers. Ha 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 ha. I don't know if you can hear it or not. I'll try and talk louder so that it doesn't mess up copyright stuff. But I'm nearly done anyway. This Josh Groban song was fine. It was perfectly fine, and I love Josh Groban, so I was totally cool with it. It could have been way worse, but it just wasn't John Lennon. It wasn't right. And I hate hearing things that aren't correct when it comes to Christmas rocks. Really, I'm not a fan of covers in general. Like some of them are really good, but I don't understand a lot of them. And I don't like hearing it in a different style. If you're going to cover something, do it straight up. Don't change things, because I don't like that. I'm just not a fan. So now that I've talked about that, I really want to take the last couple of minutes of this video to talk about my decision to go zero waste and just basically what worked and what didn't, because this is pretty much the only thing I bought this year. I was broke as shit all year. Like all year, because I was working weekends while I was doing my dissertation and then moved. So I haven't really had a lot of money this year to just buy stuff. I did go and see 3 plays. I forgot to mention I saw Aladdin, which is really good, but I felt sick in the middle, and so I missed like a good chunk of Act 1. I saw Kiss of the Spider Woman, which was actually a rewrite of the original play, but I saw it with Samuel Barnett, who was really, really good. I had a lot of fun with that. And then I saw Phantom of the Opera last week, actually, and it was a lot better than I expected it to be. The Phantom of the Opera. Yay. Anyway, so I thought I'd talk about kind of products that I got that I really enjoyed and some of them that I really didn't. I switched my shampoo from the last time I talked about it, from the Montalbano shampoo bar to the Scenic one. I fucking love this. If you have a Lush near you, I recommend you try it, especially if you have weird hair like me. Do you see like the texture of my hair? See how it's kind of like straight in the front and then like wavy in the back? That's frustrating as hell. But the Scenic shampoo has sea salt and seaweed in it, and it really evens it out. And I'm like really thankful for that, because I don't think I'd be able to handle my hair anymore if I couldn't find a way to fix it soon. So the Scenic shampoo, I am a huge fan of that. I started this conditioner bar from Bar None. You can find it at Ulta, but like that's the only place you can find it. It was on recommendation from a YouTuber I watch called Sedona Christina. But I tried it, and I am using so little of it. I have to condition my hair a lot. Not that I have dry hair, but I have really like tangled hair, and I barely have to use any of it to get the knots out. It's gonna last me forever. I'm gonna take another couple back with me, and it's small, so my parents can ship it over to me when I need more. It's gonna last forever, and I'm really excited about it. Like, I'm really excited about it. I switched my toothbrush to a wooden one. It was weird at first, and I also switched my floss to a bamboo one. The toothbrush is just a toothbrush. I gotta say, switching your toothbrush is a super easy switch. I'm serious. A toothbrush probably cost £1 more than a normal toothbrush. It feels exactly the same, and except for getting over the fact that you now have a stick of wood instead of a stick of plastic in your mouth, there's literally no difference in how it cleans your teeth. And it's a super easy switch. Like, honestly, so easy. I also use this bamboo kind of charcoal floss, which I really like, but I understand that that's weird. It's not for everyone, but I love it. I'm a really big fan of this floss. I also switched over my razor. It's fine. Not much else to say there. It's fine. Things I'm not a fan of as far as zero waste is concerned was going paperless. It just didn't work for me. I did an entire video on the importance of going paperless and why I'm gonna really try and do that. And I do try and go paperless with certain things. When I write my scripts, when I write certain notes, when I do long form writing, I try and get email receipts when I can. But things like working on my PhD and working on my writing, I need to stay in notebooks. It's easier for me to keep track of things, and I remember things better when it's handwritten. My notes app on my iPad just doesn't really work for organizing the way I need them organized. So I've kind of gone half paperless, but I keep everything I write in for future reference. So I'm not actually just throwing a bunch of shit away. So it's not like the paper's gonna go to waste. I've also switched over a loofah from a plastic one to, like, I don't know, it's shaped like a loofah, but it's like made of cloth. I don't know if it's like real loofah plant stuff, but it's like a cloth thing. It doesn't lather well, which is fine, but if it's not gonna lather, I have sensitive skin, so it might just be better for me to use my hands. I just don't like wasting things. I'm gonna keep trying it for a while. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but it's like using a cloth, except for the fact that the body wash goes like through the, I don't know, it's weird. It's like a weird thing I'm using. It's weird. Anyway, I also tried a Lush Conditioner bar. It was like the big bar, the white one. Didn't like it. Sedona and Christina used this one at one point as well, said to melt it down. So I tried that too. And I'm using so much just to get my hair conditioned. It's not working for me, which is why I tried the bar none and really liked it. Some people I know really like the Lush Conditioner bar. It's just not for me. So that's me in 2018. I felt like I had more interesting stuff to say about this year, but basically I just listed some shit I did. But you know what? It's fine. I hope you had a great 2018. I hope it wasn't as stressful as mine was. But if it was, I hope you have a better 2019. I have some errands to run. Yay, because Christmas had all the buildings closed and now I have shit to do. Back to work. I feel like there's a phrase there. I lost it. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're watching this live, hi. I don't know who you are, but hey, thanks. I'm going to head out, but I hope you have a wonderful new year. I hope you had a great holiday season, and I will see you again, probably pre-recorded and way shorter than this, next week. Tell me about your 2018 in the comments if you would like. Otherwise, you can find me on social media and on here. So it's fun. It's cool. We're good. Okay? Okay. Have a wonderful rest of your year. Thank you for watching. Bye. It's not turning off.